Hi, welcome to my speed build. Today I wanted to do something from one of my novels, Beyond Every Mirror. It's a fantasy romance, and in it the main characters, Dane and Mira, they live in a Gothic Victorian mansion. It's described pretty well in the book. The rooms that are described the most usually take place in the parlor, where there's a piano, or the bedroom, certain areas like that. So I tried to get the house as close to how it's described as possible in the book. It isn't exact because there are certain things that are mentioned in the book that I either couldn't do because the Sims game had, is limited on certain areas, but there's a lot of things that I was able to do and try to replicate as much as I can in the book. And then later you'll see I put my characters, Dane and Mira, into the house. And this house is in all three so far books in the series. So, I thought it would be kind of fun to build something that I had actually written about and that, is published out there, and, see how it goes. So, like I said, it's a Gothic Victorian. There are some different towers on the actual one in the book, but I did the best that I could. I got like some of the porches that are upstairs, and there are a few rooms that are mentioned in the book too that are in different places in this build. For instance, the library is quite different from the way I wrote it, because if you read it in the book, it's described pretty thoroughly, and I wasn't able to do the floor-to-ceiling books and the spiral staircase and the balconies of books and all that the way it's described in the book. So I did the best that I could. I put in a little crenellation in there because that is described in the book, that there's some towers with crenellated walls. I think it came out pretty nice, I think, by the time I'm done with it. I did have to put the main character's music room in the tower rather than in where in the book it's at the other end of the mansion towards the backyard, where it goes out to the garden and the stables. But unfortunately there's no horses in the Sims, so I have no stables. I was able to put in, the outside is never really described much. I do put a pool outside here, but actually, even though it's not really mentioned in the book, his pool is actually an indoor pool in the book. But I didn't build the pool as an indoor pool in this build. I decided to just go with your traditional outdoor. And and the mansion is mentioned as being, it's sort of spooky looking, but it's more rich, in your Gothic style. Couple of things, if you haven't read the books, then Mira, she's the wife of the main character Dane. She is, I guess you could call her a vampire. I did make her a vampire in this. After I built the house, I created the two characters and their cats, and I put them into this house. And I had to make her a vampire, at least because she does drink blood, but really it's a fantasy book, and she's really from an alternate dimension, not from not an actual vampire, but the fact that she does come over and she does drink blood and stuff like that. She's often termed a vampire. So, and here's where I started with the characters. Dane, and I mean, I couldn't get them exact. Like Dane's hair is a little too long. Mira's hair is not long enough. But I decided to just follow him into the house and speed it up a little. In actuality, when you walk into the I love how he goes right through the house to the grill and makes hot dogs. Okay. So in the meantime, she goes straight to the computer and plays games. But see, now here is where I tried to emulate the library as much as I could. I did put stairs. I did put a balcony up there with more bookcases. Unfortunately, they all look the same. I did the best I could based on my description in the book and the parameter for the Sims. And he does have, in the book, he has a movie theater in the house, which is not really mentioned, but it is there. He has a gym, which you just saw. And there's the music room in the tower, which is actually in a different area on the other side of the mansion, which it's pretty well described. I mean, I think the area that's described the most in the book is the kitchen. And I got that as close as I could to how I picture it in my head. And here comes the kitten. Of course, Dane's cats don't go outside, but there's no way in this game to keep your cats indoors. They can get out, and there's nothing you can do about it. This room here is actually kind of I made it up room. It's not ever mentioned in the book. It's not exactly the way I pictured it, but the next thing I have to do is go in and try to give Mira enough of the vampire power points to take away the fact that she's not a typical vampire, so she can go out in the sunlight. And I do not know why here Dane decided to go all the way up to the spare bedroom to take a nap. So I had to tell him, no, you're going to go down to your own bedroom. And I hadn't finished the whole house yet. There was still a floor, or there were a bunch of rooms that were not necessary for the game, so I hadn't done them yet. As of right now, I have, because the house has 4 or 5 bedrooms, and I had to finish up the rest of the spare rooms and different things like that. So here he's going to his own bedroom. Now in the book, their bed is actually described as a California king, and it's a canopy bed. It's a 4-poster canopy bed. So that one there are none of those big enough in this game. So again, we have to work with the parameters. There's Mira with one of the cats, who's actually, I based that cat on my little cat, Lucy. But she's mentioned in the book. So, anyway, so I just decided to put some of this after the build so that you could, see the characters and like I said, it's hard when you've been writing characters. I mean, I'm going on book 4 of this series, the Anachronistic Dimensions series, and I know these characters left and right because I've actually started writing this series in the 90s. See, look at, that's where I hadn't finished that floor. And now I have no idea where oh yeah, I put a little veterinary hospital in here. I love how you can do this and you can fix your own animals, so I don't have to, there's no going to the vet if you don't want to, which is nice. Since I just recently had Lucy, my poor little Lucy had to go into the vet recently to have a tooth removed because it was falling out. It was rotten and falling out. And she doesn't brush her teeth very well, I guess. Anyways, so I thought it was kind of cool that you could do that. So anybody who has pets automatically gets some sort of these machines here that are like something out of the 25th century, but you know, and oh yeah, here I made them clean up because he just left the hot dogs there. In the book, Dane has a housemaid named Edna, and she's actually very prominent in the series. But I thought it would be too much to make her because she's kind of a back character. And I don't think there's a way to make a maid in The Sims. So I couldn't really. Here's Dane going to fiddle on the piano. That's similar to the piano that I put in the book. And in this one, I was trying to figure out why Mira was just standing there, not doing anything. And then I realized that her character got stuck. That happens a lot, and then I have to restart it. I don't know why that happened. She just kept kind of looking at me like, "Hey, restart the game." Okay. Dane goes for a swim as Mira cleans up the kitchen. What a good little wife. For a somewhat of a vampire. But like I said, with her, I'm going to have to get her enough vampire power points so that I can make her, because has no problems with sunshine in the book. So and you can do that if you have enough power points. So anyways, here's just a few photos that I took